Ben Wheatley's Kill List is a film that refuses to be neatly categorized. On the surface, it begins as a grim, grounded crime thriller. Two ex-military hitmen take on a contract killing job. But as the story unfolds, it mutates into something far more unsettling, blending psychological horror, folk horror, and even cosmic dread into its DNA. By the time the credits roll, the audience is left with a suffocating sense of inevitability, a feeling that every moment, every kill, every outburst, every choice was pushing the protagonist toward an inescapable fate. The film follows Jay, a damaged and volatile man struggling with his own demons. Alongside his old friend Gal, he takes on a seemingly straightforward job, a hit list of 3 targets. However, as they proceed, the kills become increasingly brutal and ritualistic, leading Jay down a path of psychological and moral disintegration. What begins as a crime thriller quickly descends into something far darker. An ominous and ever-present cult seems to be orchestrating his every move. The film culminates in a horrifying realization. Jay himself was the final target all along, manipulated into his own destruction in a ritualistic and predetermined fate. At its core, Kill List is not just a story about a man taking on a job. It's a carefully orchestrated descent into damnation, mirroring Dante's Inferno both structurally and thematically. Jay believes he is in control, but with each step forward, it becomes clear that his choices were never his own. The Kill List functions like the circles of hell, each assassination pulling him deeper into moral and psychological ruin. But with each step forward, it becomes clearer that his choices were never his own. The Kill List functions like the circles of hell, each assassination pulling him deeper into moral and psychological ruin, stripping him of agency until he is left with nothing. The final revelation, that he was a pawn all along, solidifies the film's bleak message. Some journeys are destined to end in suffering, and some horrors cannot be escaped. Today, we'll talk about how Kill List transcends its crime thriller setup and becomes something far more nightmarish, a story about damnation, masked as a hitman film. Whether Jay's fate is supernatural or simply the result of careful manipulation, the outcome is the same. He was doomed from the start. In Dante's Inferno, the descent through hell is not just a physical journey, but a moral and psychological unraveling, with each circle representing a deeper level of sin and suffering. Kill List mirrors this structure, using Jay's contract killings as stepping stones in his own personal damnation. His assigned targets, the priest, the librarian, the MP, and finally the hunchback, are not just victims, but symbols of his increasing descent into violence, madness, and ultimately his own destruction. At the outset, Jay approaches the job as a professional. He's damaged, erratic, and clearly harboring suppressed rage, but there's still a sense that he sees himself as a man with a code. That illusion crumbles quickly. As he moves through the kill list, the nature of the violence changes. What starts as execution, clinical and detached, is soon tainted by something far more unhinged, more personal. Jay ceases to be a hitman and becomes something far worse, a man who enjoys the bloodshed, who needs it. Like the souls condemned to the Inferno, he is not merely descending, he is transforming. We see this happening in each of the kills on his list. The first target, a priest, introduces a chilling ambiguity that haunts the rest of the film. When confronted, the priest offers no resistance. He simply smiles and thanks Jay before being executed.
Turn round.
Thank you.
It's an eerie moment, one that suggests the cult orchestrating the kill list wants Jay to succeed. But beyond that, the priest's reaction forces Jay to confront something deeply unsettling. His job is not just about money or revenge, it is part of something larger, something ritualistic. In Inferno, the first circle is limbo, a place where souls linger without salvation. The priest, in many ways, embodies this, accepting his fate as though he has already been condemned, as though his death is merely another step in a process beyond Jay's comprehension. Jay, meanwhile, is still reluctant. He kills, but without malice. That will not last. If Jay hesitated with the priest, he does no such thing with the librarian. This is where his descent accelerates. Unlike the priest, who was executed with a gunshot, the librarian meets a far more personal and horrifying end. Here, Jay tortures him with a hammer, smashing his limbs, his face, relishing the suffering in a way that feels deeply disturbing. In Dante's Inferno, the second and third circles deal with lust and gluttony, sins of excess, where people are consumed by their own desires. Jay is consumed here, but not by food or sex, but instead by violence. His fury, barely contained before, now explodes. This is not a job anymore, it is an indulgence. What makes this moment even more harrowing is the librarian's reaction. Not fear, but acceptance.
Just want to say,
Like the priest, he seems to have been expecting this, even welcoming it. This eerie compliance only tightens the feeling that Jay is not in control, and that every step has already been decided for him. By the time Jay reaches his next target, the Member of Parliament, he is no longer a reluctant killer or an enraged executioner. He is a force of destruction. There is no hesitation, no pause, no struggle with morality. He simply carries out the act, blasting through cultists to get to his target. He has become something inhuman, not a soldier, not a professional, but a killer with no restraint. This is the moment Jay passes the point of no return. In Dante's Inferno, the deeper circles are not about physical sins, but sins of the soul, betrayal, treachery, irredeemable choices. By this stage of the film, Jay is no longer being led. He is running toward the abyss, embracing the violence. If before he killed because he had to, now he kills because it is who he has become. Then comes the cruelest twist. The final target, the hunchback, is not a crime lord or a corrupt politician. It is his own wife and child, disguised beneath a cloak and mask. And Jay, in the ultimate act of blind violence, completes his descent by murdering them. Jay was never on a mission to eliminate others. He was on a journey to become, to ascend, the ultimate victim of his own choices. The cult has not been testing his skills, but preparing him for this moment. His kills were not acts of revenge or justice, but a series of initiations, drawing him deeper into their grasp until there was nothing left of the man he once was. In Dante's Inferno, the final circle of hell is not fire, but ice, a place of ultimate stillness where sinners are trapped, unable to move, forever frozen in their damnation. Jay, standing over the bodies of his family, does not weep. He does not scream. He simply accepts. His fate was sealed the moment he took the job. There is no redemption for him. There never was. And as the weird doctor tells him earlier in the film,
the past is gone. The future is not yet here. There is only ever this moment.
No discussion of Kill List could be complete without talking about the shadowy cult pulling Jay's strings. From the opening moments of Kill List, an unseen force looms over Jay's life. It lurks in the cracks of domestic tension, in the subtle glances exchanged by those who seem to know more than they should. By the time the cult makes its presence explicit, it is not a sudden revelation, but an inevitability, the final unraveling of a power that has been guiding him from the start. This is what makes the cult so terrifying. Unlike other films that deal with shadowy conspiracies or demonic forces, Kill List presents its antagonists not as erratic or chaotic, but as patient, methodical, and deeply assured of their control. They do not need to chase Jay. They do not need to force his hand. They simply put the pieces in place, knowing he will walk the path laid before him. Which means now we have to talk a little bit about predestination and the illusion of choice. Jay, like any traditional protagonist, believes he is making choices. He believes he is taking the contract to reclaim a sense of stability. He believes he is eliminating some deeper corruption through his kills. But at every turn, the film chips away at this illusion. Jay is not an assassin eliminating threats. He is a pawn being moved into position square by square until the final checkmate. The contracts are not merely business transactions, they're an initiation and an anointing, a ritualistic journey deeper into his own undoing or rebirth. The kills are not assignments, but rather sacrifices. The film gives us subtle hints of this throughout. Fiona carving the organization's symbol on the mirror, the bloody contract, which is more of a covenant really, that he signs when he takes the job. We should note that Gal never himself signs this covenant. Then there's the presumed leader's statement that Jay and Gal are cogs in their reconstruction. It's all there. That last bit is particularly telling. As others have noted, the term reconstruction is common in religious circles, and some have suggested it has ties back to the 15th and 16th centuries. I'm not a religious scholar, but even if it doesn't, the message seems clear. The cult is in a rebuilding phase, and Jay and Gal are both to play their part. By the final act, we know what that part is. Jay's final moments are framed not as an execution, but as an ascension, a grotesque inversion of religious resurrection or rebirth. When he slaughters his own wife and child, unknowingly fulfilling the last step in the cult's ritual, he is not condemned in the traditional sense. He is crowned. The figures around him do not punish him, they anoint him, cheering as though he has completed a divine trial. And in a way, he has. Jay has shed his past self. He has abandoned morality, reason, and even his own family. He has become the very thing he sought to destroy, the hollowed out husk, remade in the image of his captors. But was he always meant to be anointed? Had this moment been set in motion long before he even took the job? The film refuses to answer, leaving us in the same helpless position as Jay himself. By the time he realizes what has happened, it is already over. There is no salvation, there is no escape, only the horror of understanding far too late. There is only ever this moment. By the time Kill List reaches its final moments, there is no room for redemption. Jay has been systematically stripped of everything: his morality, his family, his sense of self, until he is nothing but a husk, molded by unseen forces into something he truly never understood. Unlike most stories of descent, where protagonists at least attempt to claw their way back, Jay never gets the chance. He was doomed from the moment he accepted the Kill List. The horror of Kill List is not just in the violence or the cult's sinister machinations, but in the realization that Jay's fate was not simply something that happened to him. It was something he was led into willingly, believing all the while that he was making choices. His damnation is not a single act. It is the accumulation of every decision, every unchecked impulse, every moment where he convinced himself that he was in control. Kill List is often remembered for its brutality, its shocking final moments, and the way it defies traditional genre expectations. But beneath the bloodshed and psychological torment, the true horror of the film isn't in the violence itself. It's in the inevitability of Jay's downfall. Every choice he makes, every act of aggression, every supposed victory is simply another step toward an end that was already written for him. This is not a story of a man unraveling by chance or circumstance. It is a story of a man being unraveled, piece by piece, stripped of everything he believed made him who he was. The deeper horror isn't just that Jay loses, it's that he never had a chance to win. Everything Jay has done, every brutal, self-destructive act, was exactly what they wanted. In the end, Kill List offers no comfort, no resolution, no moral lesson to take away. It does not reassure the audience that fate can be fought, that choices can alter destiny, or that horror is something external that can be defeated. It simply leaves us with the image of Jay standing in silence, the crown placed upon his head, the crowd cheering around him, his journey over before he ever even knew it had begun. In the end, Kill List offers no comfort, no resolution, no moral lesson to take away. It does not reassure the audience that fate can be fought, that choices can alter destiny, or that horror is something external that can be defeated. And with that, we are left to wonder, was he dead the moment he took the job, or was his fate sealed long before that? Ready to perform another postmortem on a classic film? Then be sure to check out my video on Halloween 2. You'll find a link here on the screen. I hope to see you over there.